Hey there! Today we're going to be talking about an ink, but before we talk about that ink, first there has to be a winner for last week's entry. You recall that you could win this very nice Mont Blanc Dandy Turquoise ink. Well, you're not actually going to win this one, you're going to win a brand spanking new bottle, which will be sent to you by Joost Appelboom from Appelboom Pennen, who has been extremely kind in hooking us up with this ink. And we had to draw a winner. So I told you it would be a random draw, and I just numbered all entries on the website, on I think there was some on YouTube, everywhere, every medium we had, and there was even one person who emailed me directly because she couldn't post it on the website, technological issues, etc. Numbered, I've drawn a random number, and there was one winner. There's always a winner, and I thought I would sort of dandy it up here. These are my new glasses, which I have to be entirely honest with you, I think are pretty spiffy because they are tortoiseshell. Okay, now, who's the winner? The winner is... Storm. You're the winner. And that is a person who sent me an email, and you have to admit, even if you haven't won, you have to admit that this person deserves to win. It was a random draw, but I read the description, and I'm going to read it to you entirely. Now, this is going to take a while. It all starts with the winkle pickers. Every true dandy knows the outfit starts with the shoes. Winkle pickers in a delicious, deep plum velveteen. Socks must be striped, multicolored and held up by carved braces. Oh yeah. Trousers must be low on the hip and tight on the knee. A slight looseness is allowed below the knee so as to avoid showing the calf braces. What is shown by the tightness above the knee is entirely up to the dandy in question. I guess the dandy would show off his pen, yes. Now, for the shirt, it must be a proper button-up, crisp cotton shirt. Again, multicolored stripes are essential. The shirt must not be too long. It needs to be tuck-inable, but it should come untucked with the gentlest of stretches. Indeed. Fashionably comfortable and relaxed. Don't forget to have full cuffs, loose and lacy. The blazer needs to be in the same shade of velveteen as the winkle pickers. Blazer, not jacket. The chest pocket should have an old-school badge on it and have a silk handkerchief casually peeking out of it. The silk handkerchief should highlight one of the colors of the stripes of the shirt, and it will match the cravat. Oh yeah. Ties are far too stuffy. A cravat is perfect. Yes, I know. The finishing touch is a black trilby with a silk band and lining matching the silk handkerchief and cravat. Not difficult to dress as a dandy, really, as long as you remember to start with the winkle pickers. Well, Storm, I don't think anyone can disagree. This entry deserves to win. It's fate that has drawn you, but this is just an amazing description. It actually made me smile quite a bit when I read it. So, you were kind enough to add your address. I got it. I'm going to have Mr. Appelboom send you one of these inks. I hope you'll get it soon. Congratulations. Now, as to today's ink, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about this ink. This ink was sent to me by Michelle. Michelle said, Stephen, you need some more ink. She sent this to me. She had it, so it was a pre-owned, pre-used ink, but there's a lot of it left in the bottle. She just didn't like it that much, and that's pretty much all there's to it. It is called Private Reserve Gray. I'll try again. Private Reserve Gray Flannel. It's a very interesting color, because I would call it more of a green than a gray. But it has a tinge of gray in it, so I see the point. I like it a lot. I think it's a fascinating ink, maybe a bit too light for some appliances. No, applications, you don't actually put ink in an appliance, I suppose, although you could say pen is an appliance. This is a very strange Inkyclopedia entry. The whole writing part has been excessively weird. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm slowly losing it. In any case, an interesting ink. You're going to see it, And that's all there's to it. So, I hope you're going to enjoy it. And that's all there's to it. And I'll see you next week without a cravat. Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, boys and girls, it's time for another Inkyclopedia entry, and today we'll be having us a look at Private Reserve. Flannel. Gray. Even when the pens stop, I just keep going. Let's start with a bit of fine writing. The quick brown fox. Wore flannel shirts. And then we move to medium. The quick brown fox wore flannel shirts. Then we move to broad. The quick brown fox wore flannel shirts. And italic. The quick brown fox is, because he is. And then flex. Flannel fox. This ink does not like flex pen. And then we are going to do a couple of passes. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. First pass. First pass. First pass. Then we should do a couple of tests. I think one of the most interesting tests is going to be writing a fat letter. And of course, then there is the moment that I know many of you have all been waiting for. The Tardif test. And the thing is this. I got quite a couple of requests from people who said that my sword is too small. Well, you know, I hear that a lot. But you also know that I happen to have a penchant for samurai swords. So I was thinking, this is a pretty nice bottle that has a pretty wide neck. Let's just stick this in there, huh? Let's just throw that on the paper like this. How do you like that? Frickin' Tonto to the rescue. There we go. Now I don't want to hear anything else about my sword being too small, okay? Yeah, there we go. And this is probably the most epic Tardif test ever made. And now that we got that ink there, I'm just going to hold up a bit of a shield. Let me just put a towel under my pad. There we go. Sorry about the mess. I'm going to hold this up so that I don't get splattered with ink. And I'm going to give you the Brown benchmark. And to be honest, I think that was a nice one. A little restrained, but nice. And now we have reached the ultimate stage in the evolution of the Inkyclopedia, because the Tardif test and the Brown benchmark have merged into one being. Very soon it's going to be self-aware. Well, you know, that's what's going to happen. Let me think. What do I need? I need to do a bit of medium writing so that we can bastard brush it. Self-aware. Okay, and what else should I do? I have the fat writing. I think I can do a second pass, by the way. This looks pretty dry to me. Yeah. Second pass. Second pass. There we go. That looks pretty dry. That means we can have a look at the bastard brush. And I think while we're at it, we can also do the eyedropper of death. There we go. This still isn't dry. How could that be? I think the third pass is in order. The ink seems to dry fairly quickly, except of course when puddles of it are pooled on the paper. Ah, there you are. Yes, puddles pooled on the paper. Now that's an interesting thing, you know. I'm grabbing my pen. Alliteration, you see, it's very interesting. I published a couple of papers on that. Yes, thank you, Professor. That's very interesting. The Professor is always in the audience here, live, looking what I'm doing. He really enjoys that, and he gives me some useful pointers once in a while. Let's have a look. We got cleaning. We have bleed through. We have color. We have shading. Da, 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 da. Then we have flow. We have the feathering. We have drying time. This is a really peculiar encyclopedia. Are you noticing it? Waterproofness. Invented in 1794. By John Waterproof. There we go. Cleaning. Cleaning is pretty easy. I've not had any issues. It is a Private Reserve ink. Private Reserve inks can be very saturated, but this one, as you can see, is not extremely bright. It's not one of those really bright colors, so I think cleaning should be no problems. Bleed through, it says later. The color, yeah, what do we a green? I think that's the best thing I can say, because, well, okay, let's call it a gray green. But I find this more green than gray, to be honest. I mean, just look at that color. Then we have shading. Shading, well, there definitely is some shading going on. I mean, you because it's somewhat lighter ink, you can definitely see it. I just wiped my finger through the Tardif test. You see it in the flex pen, you see it in the italic and in the broad. It's pretty good. I'm not going to give this full marks, but definitely the next best thing. Flow seems to be good, except my flex pen has issues with it, but I'm going to give it a high score for that. Feathering, well, it says later. Drying time seems to be pretty fast. And waterproofness, well, I mean, I can still read every bit of the writing. And if you have a look at... I'm just grabbing a tissue there. If you have a look at this calligraphy, 6mm nib, all of it is there. It may have faded just the slightest, but it's still there. So waterproofness, I'm going to give it full marks. It's not an iron gall ink, but I can read all the writing, so that sounds good to me. I think we need to carefully remove this. The Tardif test is still very, very wet. So here we have us some copier paper. I think we... Whoops, where's my little thing? There we go. When I said little thing, I was talking about this, just to avoid confusion. People have already been complaining about my little sword. Fine. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. We have ways of making you jump. Let me see. Just going to put a little bit of ink into the feed there. There we go. It was a bit dry. Dry. That is very funny. You make me laugh. Le quick brown fox jumps over the, well, let's call it le lazy dog. And for all of you people who would like to know what a Dutch person sounds like when he speaks English, it would be something like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Exaggerating, of course. Then an italic nib. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Ta da 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 da. And then flex. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, my dear friend, you got a ringside seat, you're on SmackDown, brother. That didn't sound like Hulk Hogan. Brother, you got a No, I can't do it. I cannot do Hulk Hogan. Brother? No, I can't do it. Sorry, I tried. You got a ringside seat, you're on SmackDown, brother. No, I can't do it. What's that? I can't do his voice. Bloody hell. Okay. You know what? Fat nibbage. Let's just do that. Hulk. 'Tis a green ink after all. Well, greenish grey, greyish green. Does this look like greenish grey to you? Or more like greyish green? I need it for my study for the university, you see. Whoops, looks like something fell. Well, let's just continue. What have we gleaned from this? Feathering? No. Feathering? No. Feathering? Not really. Maybe a little bit down there, but it's very minimal. A lot less than I've seen recently. Italic? No. Feathering for flex? Yes. Definitely. Definitely. You see that? Yeah, that's feathering. Okay. And then there is feathering for the really fat nib, although that seems to be pretty much under control too. How about bleed through? Well, there's a little bit of it there, yeah. But it's not as pronounced as with the last ink I did, I think. Medium seems okay, broad, just touches of it, but not a whole lot. It's just the flex. So I find the bleed through to be pretty well okay, pretty much okay, I should say. So let's finish up our scorecard, because I don't see any bleed through. It's going to be difficult to turn this around. No bleed through for the writing on Rhodia, just for these excessive tests. So bleed through, I would say, is good. It's not perfect, but considering it's actually only the flecks on cheap paper, I'm willing to give that a full score. Feathering seems to be pretty much under control, it's not excessive. So we have 1, 2, we have 4, 6, 8, we have an inkage of 10. And that's all there's to it. So now what we need to do is a bit of a comparison, and because my flex pen is not really liking this ink, I happen to have a Visconti Opera Elements with a sweet 14 karat gold nib, which happens to have a bit of spring to it, and thought I might just give you some eye candy. So what we have here is the Private Reserve ink. This is... Notice how it looks a bit different in this nib. You see that? It's very wet. Quite different from that. This is a fountain pen. Just so you know. Then we have... I didn't really know what to put in here. I found it hard to find something to compare it to. So here you have Mont Blanc. This is... Jonathan Swift. It's greener, but it also has that slightly greyish tinge to it, I believe, and it's definitely darker. So maybe that makes for a bit of a comparison. Well, I hope this was useful. This was one of the weirdest Inkyclopedias I've done up to this point. I'm not crazy or anything, I mean not crazier than usual. I had a lot of fun. I hope you have a lot of fun, and that's all there's to it. I'll gladly see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye!